You know who's on the program tonight? Former chairman of the Fed, and I have no idea what that means. Alan Greenspan. Did you see him coming in tonight?
When he arrived at the theater?
It's amazing how anybody that attains a certain profile in the popular culture, that suddenly they have like a show business following.
But he wasn't in show business.
No, he was the chairman of the Fed.
Chairman of the Fed, whatever that means.
Whatever that means.
But it is.
Take a look at the reception, the folks waiting to greet Alan
Greenspan.
outside on 53rd Street
Federal
early.
Reserve.
Watch this, look at that.
He's got his pants, look at her. Showing her eyes.
Isn't that amazing?
An Alan Greenspan t-shirt on.
Crazy, isn't it?
She has a t-shirt. He has his own t-shirt.
It's nuts.
Alan Greenspan t-shirt.
Yeah, t-shirts, that's right.
I'd like to get one.
Yeah, all right, well, I'm sure you can. We'll ask him when he comes out where you can get one.
I wonder if he has it. Would he autograph one for me?
I don't know, you'll have to ask
I'd like
Mr.
to
Greenspan.
have one of
All
yours.
right, see if you can talk to him about that maybe after the show.
I don't want anyone stealing it from me.
No, I understand, sure. Jennifer Lopez, right out there, 53rd Street. That was Jennifer Lopez arriving.
Yeah, amazing.
And here's what it looked like when Alan Greenspan was arriving. Did we see these guys? Look, there they are.
Oh.
They can't wait to get to Alan Greenspan, the former chairman of the Fed. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Here's what I know. We used to hear on the radio and in the newspaper and television that Alan Greenspan, chairman of the Fed, was about to make an announcement, and we'd all become very attentive and very interested. That's all I know.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But for me, who didn't get much out of high school, what is it you did?
Well, let me show you what we did.
Okay.
What we do. We print this stuff.
Right.
And this is the money which makes the economy move, and how much we print affects inflation and interest rates and whether people have jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So if we get it right, everyone's happy, and if we don't, you know what.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And operate completely independent of any political connection.
Actually, it's in fact the case.
Yeah.
I mean, most people are a little cynical about it, but since 1992, no president has tried to in any way interfere with what we were doing.
Right. And often you and people who hold your position, Ben Bernanke, your predecessor now, described as the second most powerful man in the world. Is that fair? Is that accurate?
Nope.
Yeah.
Look, we have the office by the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. And the Congress can change that at will. And there goes my job.
Mm-hmm.
So I often hear that statement, but it's...
When things are good, when as many people as possible can be satisfied economically in this country and in the world, do we give you the credit for that? Or are there many other factors that can't really be identified or controlled if they can be?
We've had an extraordinary 2 decades, and it's been unprecedented in the post-World War II years. Virtually all of it, maybe 85, 90%, is a result of globalization, opening markets, flexibility, all the forces which are outside the realm of political control or economic control by policymakers. So, yeah, we'll take what's left. It's not much, but we'll split it with the President, the Congress, and the Federal Reserve.
Yeah. In terms of things like this country, and they refer to now the region just around the Great Lakes, now becoming known as the Rust Belt, steel and other heavy and light industry moving out. Will jobs eventually take that place? Will we ever be able to exist without that kind of manufacturing in this country?
It always does. And if you look back in history, what you see is industry after industry becomes obsolete. It's an icon for decades, and then all of a sudden, something new replaces it. And indeed, standards of living don't rise unless that happens. So yes, it's very difficult for a lot of people in the Rust Belt. Look, I'm old enough to remember when quintessential American industry were those steel mills along
Right.
the lake, along Lake Michigan. Huge, big. It was very impressive. And as you point out now, they're sort of rusting, both figuratively and otherwise. It's sad, but they are being replaced. And when you think about it, almost all of the time, 95% of our workforce is employed.
Yeah.
And a goodly part of the other 5% are in the process of just changing jobs. So,
Well, that's remarkable because, as you point out, the people affected directly by industries closing down, it couldn't be a greater hardship. But there is reason to be generally encouraged, though.
yeah, in other words, it's what happens all the time.
Yeah. I heard this about a year ago, and I found this stunning as a statistic. The gross national product of China is made up 1/3 by the business they do with Walmart. Is that possible?
It sounds a little large,
A little large?
but there's no question that Walmart is the major importer of Chinese goods into the United States and perhaps in the world. And it's been extraordinarily successful, but there's an awful lot more than what is produced and shipped to Walmart that goes on in China.
Yeah. And one day, will it be an even bigger source of goods for the United States,
Oh,
China?
yes. I mean, China is growing at 10% a year.
And we want this. This is good for us?
Look, what we've learned is that globalization, which is what's pressing China, creates a lot of problems for a lot of people. And it's tough to deal with, but it has moved the standards of living, not only of the United States and our trading partners in the developed world, but hundreds of millions of people have been moved out from the developing world into middle class or lower middle class standards of living, which used to be the monopoly of the developed world. And that's terrific.
Yeah. And this financial economic globalization, is there hope that this will one day replace the need for people would rather have a wealthy country than a country at war? Will that take the place of that activity? Will people say, well, geez, I'm not going to make trouble because I want to feed the people in my country, so I don't want a war?
Oh, I think that's exactly right. I think that what we're seeing in China is that the Communist Party of China essentially views itself as the provider of goods and services for the people, and that's where their control comes from. If they got into some sort of conflict, there's a very grave concern that their economy would shrink, and that's something they're not looking forward to.
Let's take a look at some photos of your peers over the years. Just give us a couple of thoughts as we take a look at these. There you are, and who is this with? This is Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
How did you get along with President Nixon?
Well, I got along very well in the very beginning when I thought he was a former vice president who was staid, articulate, smart, and then they let me in the inner circle.
Uh-huh.
And I...
All right. And I think you said that of the presidents you've known, Nixon and Clinton probably the smartest. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Wow. All right. And this is whose White House do we have here? That's Gerald Ford. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. A president, a nice enough guy, not an elected president.
But the most normal person to occupy the Oval Office.
Yeah. And this?
That's Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. Mm-hmm.
And may have been the most effective president whom I knew.
And he was trickle-down economics. Is that what is his policy?
Well, I wouldn't quite put it that way. I would say he was for a buoyant economy and for economic growth. And to a large extent, he succeeded.
Yeah. And what about the notion that people who have money in this country are growing at a huge rate and people who don't have money in this country also growing at a huge rate? Is that the way it is now?
Yeah, in other words, I think, as I cite many times in my book, that the real serious problem we have is that income inequality is rising in this country.
Right.
And that unless we address that, people may say that capitalism is doing great, but if they perceive that the rewards are unjustly distributed,
Right.
The society is very unstable, and I think it's critically important that we address that issue.
And can it be addressed successfully?
Well, it's an issue of education, and I even raised in the book a very controversial thing about opening up our borders to more skilled labor, because that would have an extraordinarily positive effect, in a sense, leveling the playing field.
Yeah. So again, when we say that the economy is booming, that generally not necessarily good news for everybody along the way.
That's, look, it's called creative destruction. And creative destruction means that in order to create goods and services from new equipment and facilities, you have to sort of place it aside, and you have to shut down a lot of facilities, and a lot of people lose their jobs. And that's got to be corrected.
Let's take a look at one more photo here.
That's George W. Bush. Actually, he was very good for the Federal Reserve because he, like Clinton, did not at any time try to interfere with what the Fed was doing. And as a consequence of that, we got along reasonably well.
This is the book, Alan Greenspan, The Age of Turbulence. Thank you very much for being here. Great pleasure to meet you, sir. Thank you.